Hey there, Dragon Ball Infinity. I'm Luke, your roleplay admin, and this is a roleplay review for Change by Rizion. Um, it, I think I've tried to do this video like 10 times. I keep going over like 14 minutes, so I'm going to do my best to hit the points that I think that are important. And uh, I can't condense this story down because every time that I try, it just gets too massive. There's too many things to point at. And to to say what I like about. So I'm just going to try to hit the really major ones. As the log implies, there's a lot of change that happens between not just Rizion, but some of his NPCs and his characters, and uh, really this change is most evident in the very beginning of the log when Rizion just goes for the food that's there. He's been forced to eat maggots and basically practically starved to death for as long as he's been captured, and he just there's these squirrel kind of things roasting on fire that Saul and Karn have caught, and he just goes for it. And the reason that this and he's just scarfing down food. He's just grabbing as much as he can. He knows that they're going to stop him. He knows that Saul is going to turn around any second and grab him and get him. And he knows that's going to happen, but he goes for it anyway. And throughout these logs, you can see where Rizion is sort of pushing the line with his captors. You can see where he's slowly becoming more and more defiant, and he's becoming brave. And maybe that bravery is brought on by desperation or just the elements and just the shock factor of everything that's happening. But regardless of why or how it happens, it is happening, and it's very subtle at first. In the first logs, Rizion just will snap back at the people, or like when he strikes Jason and decides that his survival comes over his. So you see this change, and it's progressively getting stronger and stronger, and finally, the ultimate change is that Rizion's energy unleashes. He basically burns a hole through Saul's chest, who's about to kill him. Not a hole, but he hurts him bad enough to knock out this Saiyan mercenary, and that's no small feat. Um, and then afterwards, Karn and him have a very long dialogue, and it's very deep. He kind of shows how there's layers to Rizion that only Karn notices after speaking with him. That Rizion was really observing the interactions. He had picked out all the differences between Karn and Saul. And while I feel like Rizion had an emotional connection to Saul, he felt like Saul was his friend. Um, Karn is a different element altogether, and Rizion realizes very much at once that these are two very different men. They may be involved in the same sorts of acts and the same sorts of crimes and the same sorts of profession, but these two men are radically different. Karn is a professional to the utmost extreme. He can, he replaces the captive that they lost, Jason, with Saul himself, without Saul ever knowing. Um, like he's the only thing that he's interested in is his own gain or whatever he's after. And Saul is sort of the opposite, where he's trying to complete the mission to the parameters. Like the fact that Jason was missing was really bothering him, and the fact that Rizion had saved him from the Trent. He was having difficulty dealing with that. But Karn was very fluid. He just picked up, he made all the pieces fit together and got exactly what he needed out of the situation. And he did that at the expense of Rizion, he did it at the expense of Jason, all the other captives, and even his own ally, Saul. And you can tell that Karn really uses Saul, um, and uses everybody. There's, no one is his master, but Saul's more of a lackey, a goon. Um, but Saul has heart. Where the experiences and all of everything that's happened to Karn has shaped him into this person who can't have allies, who can't have friends, who has pushed everyone away. Saul is the opposite, where he's there to make his game, but at the same time he has feelings invested in it. tries to turn back. He tries to keep Karn from leaving Rizion there, and even in his own way, he tries to give Rizion, you know, an incentive to survive. Um, Even if it's just calling him a gutter shite uh, at the end of the log, he, you know, you can tell that Saul secretly wants Rizion to survive because you know he owes him a debt. Even if he's resentful of that debt, he knows that he owes Rizion something, and you know, I would be unbelievably surprised if we don't see both of these characters reemerge, and Jason as well. And especially with Karn's link to Braid, which gives him a very strong link to my character Cyber, I know that we'll see Karn again. But when and where and why is what we'll have to discover for us, you know, in the future. But the fact that they're out there is awesome. Um, and the log is just I mean, it's perfect. Rizion is so good at displaying human interactions. Like his characters are so alive. They have so much personality. They have so much depth to them. They're never. Most people who role play, and I'm gonna just say most people are in the most general sense of the term, because right now we actually have a pretty good cast of characters between Junsong, Maxed, Muramashi, Victor, Aetherus, and our guys, Rizion and me. We've got some serious contenders. I mean, I thought when losing Doomiston and Lai and Calmega, we were gonna, uh, you know, roleplay was gonna, you know, be in the dark ages for a little while with only a few like real people. I thought we were gonna be really trudging through some stuff, but it's turning out the complete opposite. Where you guys are, every one of us are putting forward a lot of really great content, but like I said, Rizion, most of us have trouble creating that realistic human character. Somebody who has depth, somebody who has history, somebody whose personality is human. But Rizion's characters have that. They are so alive on the page, and the dialogue is so natural. Everything just feels right. Nothing ever seems forced, and Rizion takes extra time and extra care to make sure that it all comes out just the way that he wants. Um, I'm more of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy. I find that my best roleplay logs happen by chance. I'll start something one night and you know I'll go through with it, and every once in a while I'll hit that magic moment. But Rizion consistently hits that magic moment with every single character that he makes. And no character in his story is insignificant. Everything and everyone in it has some purpose. And that's what I really think that people could learn from Rizion's logs. You know, when you read it, there's nothing in it that is just there by chance. Everything is symbolic. Everything is placed there because it needs to be there. There's nothing excess. There's no fat that you need to cut off to to get the whole piece of meat. Like you have, I hate to use like food descriptions, but you have like a perfect T-bone sirloin steak right in front of you, and it's juicy and dripping wet with. I mean, it's just it, they're just. I'm not gonna say that they're perfect. There's problems even in this one. Again, I think because Rizion using Google Chrome, there's a couple typos and errors and things, but in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't make that doesn't ruin the log at all. It might be noticeable every now and again, but the content within the log is so dramatic and so intense. You just can't you just can't beat that. You just can't. Um, and you know he's so good at showing the evolution of characters. Like none of his characters, like with my character Cyber, you know that Cyber is from this background. You know that he has this sort of training. You know this, and he just kind of is the character that he is. And as much as I don't want it to be that way, that's just sort of how I do things. Is that I, you know, I might go into my past and show the progression later on, but Rizion really starts from the very beginning, the very smallest seed, and we always see it bloom into these violent, beautiful flowers. I mean, it, from his role plays with Ragnios started out similarly, you know, as literally almost almost the same vein as Rizion, in that he starts from nothing and he becomes one of the most powerful men that we. I mean, people when in the old setting when we talked about Ragnos, he is a figure of legend. Even Calmega sort of is a. I think Calmega himself mentions it one time that people speak of Rizion as if he's, this legend, and that's what he became because of the way that he evolved throughout his roleplay. The art, the story, his story just goes up and up and up and up and up and up and up. It never dips back down, and that's how Rizian always does his characters. It's always so satisfying to see him get to the and just keep climbing and climbing and climbing, and his characters always become powerful, not maybe in the actual sense of strength, but powerful sense of character, powerful sense of purpose. Characters who literally change the universe because of their existence, and you know, especially with this character Rizion, I have such an intimate connection with that name that I know that amazing things are going to happen to this character, and I know that it's gonna blow my mind this time because when we first started role playing and I first got introduced to the real character of Rizion, I had already missed out on most of the backstory, and I was still just I was just a fresh young face, and I just happened to tag along for a while and get caught up. And you know, there's actually a character that I had named Ishmael who was a perfect example. He and Rizion told him, you know, don't follow me because my path is destruction. My path is bloody and violent, and all of my loved ones are betrayed and killed or some way. There's unless you are the soul, unless you have a soul tempered for perfection, you will not survive the same road that I'm traveling. And Ishmael leaves because he can't. He knows that he isn't that kind of soul. And with this character, I just, I mean, I love this character, and I just, it's awesome. It's just awesome. Anyway, I'm Luke, your roleplay admin, and this has been a roleplay review. I'll see you guys on Tuesday.